So we have embarked on what is, I think, maybe our most fascinating deep dive yet.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to this one. It's a rich topic.
Yeah, we're analyzing a fictional universe, but we're treating it as if it were a high-stakes cultural, biological, and even geopolitical study.
That's it exactly. For you, the listener, our mission today is to go way beyond just a simple plot summary.
Hmm.
We're going to thoroughly analyze the really complex high-stakes world building here. We're looking at the wolf shifters society, their specific biology, their codes of conduct, treating it all like a legitimate field of study.
Right, like we're decoding their culture and the very specific mechanics that bind our two protagonists, Hannah and Stephan, together.
We're charting the engineering of their destiny, really, seeking to understand the deep lore of their hidden village, Rialto, and its entire culture.
And to give you that context, our primary source, our main evidence, is Hannah's first-hand account in Wolf. It spans 8 really crucial chapters.
But we're also pulling in some other details, little nuggets from related texts.
Yeah, we've got excerpts from Serengeti Lightning and Awakening Beauty. They help us understand the broader rules of this universe, how transformation and destiny really work.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We have to start at the beginning with that incredible, fateful childhood encounter in the Lost Woods that basically cements Hannah's entire path.
We have to. Because the foundation for this whole high-stakes relationship, it rests on this one single moment of just profound vulnerability and completely unexpected human kindness.
The genesis of this bond, it's almost perfectly designed to just flip the traditional fairy tale on its head.
Completely.
Hannah is just 8 years old, and she's already, in her own words, a mighty pirate looking for my chest of wares.
I love that description.
It's great, isn't it? And she disobeys her grand's rule about staying on the path, but not out of malice or anything. It's compulsion. It's driven by the sympathetic pain she feels.
Right. She hears this pained call howl more than a cry. And what does she do? She doesn't run away.
No, she runs toward it, toward the danger, deep into the Lost Woods.
And this immediate, fearless, proactive response.
Yeah.
It is so crucial. It immediately tells you everything you need to know about her character and really her destiny.
It sets her apart from everyone else, doesn't it? The villagers who later shun her, who are terrified of the unknown. She's not like them.
Not at all. And when she finds Stephan, he's in this critical, almost horrifying state. The text says his body is twisting and contorting. He's shifting uncontrollably between his wolf and human forms.
And it's because of a severe leg injury, a downed tree.
Exactly. So the source establishes a core biological rule for us right there, for this particular species of shifter. Stephan loses control of his animal when he's severely injured, or weak, or under extreme stress.
And the beauty of the scene is that Hannah's reaction, it isn't fear. It's not horror at this anomaly she's seeing.
Right.
It's just pure, uncomplicated empathy. She introduces herself so formally, "I'm Hannah," and she offers comfort. She puts her favorite red cloak on him to use as a pillow.
It's the classic Red Riding Hood imagery, right? The red cloak.
Yeah.
But the meaning is completely flipped.
Totally. She's not a victim at all. She is the catalyst for his healing.
And Stephan, even though he's in this excruciating physical and, biological distress, he understands the gravity of the secrecy instantly.
His first thought is the code.
His first thought is the code. He's growling, "Your kind can never know of mine. It is our code, and the code must be upheld." In that moment of absolute need, his training kicks in.
And that's when he gives her the amulet.
Yes, a protective amulet.
Yeah.
He urges her, "Wear this at all times. It will keep you safe." And that physical act, handing over the amulet, it's effectively the creation of a metaphysical contract between them.
It's a marker.
It is. Then he shifts back into this beautiful wolf with a thick, gorgeous fur. And then, and this is critical, he invites her on what he calls a soul journey.
Okay, let's pause on that mechanism, because this is like the core of their world's spiritual technology.
It really is.
Stephan says he has to undertake this soul journey to heal, and it's facilitated by a special tonic from an elder named Nala. But then he offers to share it.
With a human child. An outsider.
It's not just a friendly gesture, is it? It's this profound leap of faith and trust to involve an outsider in what has to be the deepest, most sacred internal process a shifter can go through. So what does this journey actually entail?
It signifies a level of trust born from desperation, I think. The soul journey itself is a dream state. It's defined initially as being white and sterile.
Blank.
Completely blank. And it's meant to be a mental home where my inner animal can safely come to grow and heal. This reveals a fundamental rule about their species. Healing for them is not just physical regeneration.
It's architectural.
It's architectural. It requires this deliberate, focused act of internal construction driven by the consciousness. You have to build a mental sanctuary for your inner animal to stabilize.
And here's where the lore gets so specific and really surprisingly inverted. Hannah, the human child, she takes over as the architect.
She does. Stephan is weak, he's traumatized, he just wants to rest in that sterile, safe, white space. But Hannah drives the process forward. She actively lower.
Yeah.
She taunts him to focus.
Yeah, she demands, we must add color. Lots of color. This place is too white. And she specifically says you need lots of reds, yellows, and orange.
So why those colors? Why the insistence? It says so much about the difference between a shifter's mind and a human's.
How so?
Well, Stephan's wounded animal, it defaults to a state of sterile safety. White, neutral, unthreatening. It's functional, but it's ultimately stagnant. There's no life there.
And Hannah brings the life.
Hannah, the human, introduces the emotional and vital elements. Red, yellow, orange. These are the colors of passion, fire, life, healing energy. She's literally forcing vitality back into a system that was trying to stabilize through like a clinical neutrality.
So the human mind, which isn't restrained by their shifter code or the injury, it actually becomes the superior metaphysical engine in that moment.
Exactly. And her influence is immediate and structural. She starts building the sanctuary with fixtures, flowers, furniture, until Stephan is compelled to join in. He adds his own, more grounded colors. Green, blue, brown, purple.
So this isn't just some whimsical dream they're sharing. It's an essential act of spiritual co-creation where the human dictates the initial terms.
And Stephan confirms this later. He says, were it not for you, my inner animal would never have found the strength to build it. He even admits that without her, he would have just built a dark and dreary home.
So we have a mechanism established right from chapter 1. Hannah's unique human kindness and her mental fortitude give her the power to influence Stephan's mental and spiritual state permanently.
This sequence doesn't just lay the groundwork for the soulmate concept. It confirms her as his essential, life-affirming catalyst. She brings light and structure to his spiritual self, fulfilling a need his own shifter nature couldn't provide while he was wounded.
But let's analyze the risk here for a second. By inviting a human, an 8-year-old girl, into his soul journey, Stephan effectively surrendered all of his internal defense mechanisms. What does that tell us about the priority of their code versus the desperation of just pure survival?
It tells us that the code, your kind, can never know of mine. It can be superseded by the biological imperative to survive. When a shifter loses control because of an injury like that, the rules have to change.
So his instinct took over.
Stephan, or maybe his inner animal, instinctively knew that the energy of the purity that Hannah offered was the only thing capable of pulling him back from that critical biological failure. The code is for external security, but kindness is the ultimate internal repair mechanism.
So his final promise to her, that she's welcome, always, there and here in my forest, that's more than just a thank you.
Oh, it's a vow. It's the vow of a boy who knows he's been spiritually saved, and that act of salvation is now the highest law in their relationship. The code comes second to that.
And that amulet, which we said was a marker, it's the tangible proof of that metaphysical contract. He wakes up the next morning wrapped in her cloak, left safely at the edge of the woods. It's a perfect setup for the grand reveal 12 years later. Okay, so fast forward 12 years. Hannah is now 20, and she's just survived this horrifying village massacre.
A terrible scene.
She flees into the woods again, and this time she's saved by Stephan's pack, which she only registers as these flashes of gray fur. When she finally sees him again, the boy she knew is gone. He's replaced by this virile, powerful warrior who is also a king.
This is where the cultural immersion begins, and it is a profound shock for her and for us as readers. Stephan is the king of Rialto, this hidden, highly organized community.
The village itself is described as being structured in circular bands of wooden homes,
Which is a defensive, planned structure. It speaks to a long history of secrecy and protection. It's a stark contrast to the chaotic, messy human villages just outside the forest.
and we're immediately introduced to Nala. She's the healer, the elder, and she provides this crucial context on their social structure and their extraordinary lifespan.
The longevity detail is just staggering. Nala is 4th generation. She is Stephan's mother's mother's mother.
Wow.
And she casually recalls a time when they hadn't lost anyone in their pride for at least 60 winters.
60 winters. So this level of stability and longevity, it has to have massive implications for Rialto's culture.
Of course, if death is a rare event only caused by extreme circumstances or maybe a rare illness, then tradition becomes almost fossilized. Change would be viewed with extreme suspicion.
It provides the rationale for their stringent codes, a rigid hierarchy.
Exactly. It also means that the future war, the one that leads to these unprecedented casualties, isn't just a physical threat to them. It's an existential cultural anomaly that threatens to erase a stability they've maintained for centuries.
And that sets the stage perfectly for the biggest cultural shock for Hannah, the societal function of telepathy. Stephan's people, as a biological norm, can read minds. And Hannah's initial reaction is just understandable fury, disbelief. She calls it unfathomable, a diabolical and twisted notion of wizardry.
She's horrified that Stephan, and potentially his entire pack, has been privy to her lustful thoughts and her late-night arguments.
So the question for you, for the listener, is how do you even function as a society where there is zero privacy?
Well, the cultural justification for this mind reading comes from Fallon. He's Stephan's brother and the alpha man of arms,
The head of security, basically.
and he explains that telepathy is essential for order, security. It allows them to know all things occurring within our pack through the females we protect and mate. It's presented as this cultural necessity, a biological surveillance system that's inherent to their peace and stability.
But wait, if telepathy is mandatory for security, doesn't that fundamentally undermine any concept of personal autonomy or even genuine trust?
That's the question, isn't it?
If you can instantly access every thought, how can true individuality or, spontaneous dissent even exist?
That is the core conflict of Realto society, and the source material doesn't shy away from it. They claim to treat the thoughts as if they were our own and protect the person's right to express them without restraint. But the fact remains that Hannah's thoughts are described as more brazen than our people are accustomed to. Nala confirms that Stephen had to isolate Hannah, basically locking her away in the elders section of the village.
And why?
Specifically to curb the temptation her uninhibited thoughts posed to the younger, unmated alphas.
So telepathy is a tool for control. Hannah's uncensored human mind is a form of pollution or a disruption to their carefully managed emotional ecosystem.
Yes, her mind is too loud, too passionate, and way too distracting for the hyper-controlled males in the pack.
It's a psychological cost of their order?
Precisely, and this is why Nala's intervention is so important. She sees Hannah's distress, and instead of demanding she conform, she offers a personalized solution.
Right, she offers to teach her.
She says she can teach Hannah how to build barriers in your mind, a fortress to hold your most intimate thoughts. This is an explicit acknowledgement that the rule of open thoughts can be mitigated by powerful mental discipline.
Even for an outsider.
Even for an outsider, which is huge.
This ability to build a mental fortress is effectively, it's an extension of her initial architectural skill from the soul journey, isn't it?
It is. The lesson is twofold. First, the human mind is uniquely chaotic, maybe. But second, that chaos gives it a powerful, unique defense mechanism.
If she can build a spiritual home for Stephan's inner animal.
She can certainly build a sanctuary for her own conscious mind. It signals her transition from being a victim of their cultural telepathy to gaining the power to modulate it herself.
And it gives her a unique social power, too. Let's go back to that initial marking, the talisman.
Okay.
Nala explicitly confirms the talisman marks Hannah as Stephan's, established by the boy Stephan all those years ago. She says that because of this mark, other alphas would never touch her. They'd be too afraid of Stephan's wrath.
So her status as the king's mate was set in stone a decade before she even returned.
Based purely on a desperate, instinctual act from a wounded child.
Which means that Mark acts as a shield against potential aggression from other males. It confirms that even though Hannah's thoughts are a dangerous distraction, her status is untouchable.
But what about the hierarchy of the shifters themselves? Is it just the alpha males at the top?
Well, Nala provides some fascinating insight there. She notes that only healers, or those within the royal line, like herself, get the option to choose which family talisman they display. She chose the stronger one, despite her mother's lineage.
So that shows that Realto, while it is highly controlled, it's not purely patriarchal.
Not at all. Specialized expertise like healing and certain family lines grant the women significant power and agency in defining their own status. And that's highly unusual for a society that is centered on protecting and mating females.
That makes Nella's role much deeper than just the village elder. She's a political player. She's managing spiritual, physical, and social order.
She's a power broker. So to summarize where we are, the entire Rialto system, their extreme longevity, their deep code of secrecy, the mandatory telepathy. It is all designed for absolute internal control and security.
And Hannah's arrival just throws a massive wrench into this sophisticated machine.
Precisely because her human mind is so unrestrained and yet so uniquely powerful in its ability to build and to create.
Now we get to the really intense political and emotional conflict. The moment Stephan and Hannah are finally alone, the complexity of their bond it explodes.
It does. He admits he kept his identity a secret because, as he says, the man wanted to possess you long before he was king.
He insists the man, not the king, is in her bed. It's this profound attempt to divorce his emotional and physical needs from his political status.
But we know, given what we've learned about Rialto culture, that such a separation is basically impossible.
It's the classic inner conflict of a ruler, isn't it? Stephan wants Hannah to love him, the essence of the person she saved 12 years ago, not the title.
But in Rialto, the king's actions are the pack's destiny, and their sexual relationship immediately shows that inextricable link between the man and the king, all through their telepathy.
He's highly aroused by her uninhibited thoughts. He tells her, "Your thoughts drive me mad with the need to possess you."
And their passion is reciprocal. It's fiery, it's deeply primal. We get descriptions of him claiming her in his private retreat, a kiss that grows more demanding, more consuming.
This raw intimacy, it's fueled by the constant, unfiltered access to her desire. That's what makes their relationship so biologically unique. It's a closed feedback loop of passion and thought.
But that initial, passionate encounter is instantly interrupted by duty.
Right, Fallon bursts in.
Fallon arrives with urgent news. A legion marches from Tash. And this rapid-fire juxtaposition of primal desire and immediate political crisis, it really defines their early relationship. The world is literally on fire around them.
And their personal needs are constantly being subjugated to the demands of the pack. And before their reunion can even be, well, completed, we encounter the most culturally jarring aspect of Rialto so far, the formal, almost ritualistic virgin preparation in Chapter 5.
Yes, this is a tough scene to read. Hannah is stripped and scrutinized by an unnamed woman. She's advised on physical trauma, offered recovery herbs.
With the cold statement that the king will likely fuck you into the dawn.
It's so jarringly impersonal.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider the depth of Stephan's emotional attachment to her.
Yeah.
We have to analyze this ritual through the lens of Rialto's priorities. It is a moment where institutional protocol violently overrides personal, intimate desire.
But why? The king is deeply in love, yet they still mandate this cold, invasive protocol. That says volumes about the priority of security over individual desire in Rialto.
And Fallon, the man of arms, he provides the chilling rationale. It's his duty to ensure the maiden has no weaponry before entering the king's private chambers.
So even in their most intimate moments, the king is a target. And the female companion, especially an outsider, is a potential security risk.
Always. Fallon explicitly says this is a necessity for security, especially when the king is, and I quote, blinded by a passion so strong he'd lead us to war.
So Fallon, despite his earlier crude comments, he actually respects Hannah.
He does. He respects her because you see the man before you think of the king. He recognizes her allegiance is personal, not political, which ironically makes her safer in his eyes. But the protocol must still be followed. The institution is bigger than the individual.
So the ritual has a dual nature. It's part security check, part preparation for royal bedding. It just underscores their constant vigilance.
And Stephan's personal feelings are seen as so strong, they actually compromise his duty as king. That necessitates these strict, almost militaristic protocols from his second-in-command. The pack knows their relationship is dangerous precisely because of its intensity.
And the stakes just keep rising. We get to the war strategy. Stephan announces his plan to break their ancient code of secrecy.
A huge deal.
An ally with the remaining human fighters from Hannah's village and the neighboring Timbria. He justifies this because the enemy is clearing the forest to the north, which is a direct threat to Rialto's sanctuary.
So this is not some act of humanitarianism. It's pure self-preservation.
And this desperate alliance, it sets up the ultimate betrayal.
It does. Hannah's stepfather, now a village leader, arrives, and Hannah immediately senses the deception. She describes his half-embrace, too reminiscent of past, forced emotional displays.
She knows something is wrong, and her stepfather, whose son Michael is supposedly dead, he admits his plan. The shifters' trust in Hannah will be their downfall.
He sees the shifters as evil incarnate. He's willing to sacrifice the entire alliance, his own people, for revenge and this deep-seated hatred.
This brings us to the technological threat, which is a massive political shift in the lore. The stepfather's betrayal isn't just moral, it's tactical.
It is. The sources confirm that the enemy has a new weapon, an alloy that is specifically toxic to shifters. This is crucial because it means humans have technologically leveled the playing field. They've found a way to neutralize the shifter's natural biological superiority.
So if the shifter's main advantage is their ability to rapidly heal and shift, a toxic alloy that is slicing and burning their flesh, it fundamentally changes the rules of engagement.
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
And it validates Stephan's desperation to seek a temporary alliance, even with these compromised, hateful humans.
And then the true depth of the treason is revealed. It's in this shocking moment of recognition during the gathering of the fighters. Hannah discovers her brother, Michael.
Is alive.
He's alive, serving the Timbrian side, and he has the same evil grin as her father. This familial connection to the treason, her own blood aiming to destroy her mate, it's the ultimate test of her allegiance.
It forces her to choose. The family who betrayed her or the king who saved her soul.
It's the moment of truth. Does she stick with blood ties, or does she honor that spiritual contract that was forged all those years ago in the Lost Woods? And this next segment is the climax. It's where all the biological, spiritual, and political threads just converge, and it leads to Hannah's total transformation.
It all comes together here. Stephen, he defies the protective alpha crush of his guards who are trying to keep him safe, and he moves toward the front lines.
And that's when Hannah sees it. She sees her brother Michael aiming that toxic alloy arrow directly at Stephan, and she leaps.
Her action is the definitive act of sacrifice. It's what transforms her status from a consort into a queen in the eyes of the pack. She takes the poisoned arrow in her shoulder and her leg.
And we learn that this alloy is so dangerous it caused the death of 4 alphas.
An unprecedented casualty count for their kind. The alloy, designed to neutralize their healing factor, proved to be their biological Achilles heel.
So Hannah is near death. She's poisoned. She's traumatized. Stephan and Fallon are desperate. They know she can't undertake the healing soul journey in her current physical state.
But Nala, the elder, finally reveals her long game, her master plan. She admits the tonic that Hannah has been drinking daily since she arrived. It wasn't just for general healing.
What was it for?
It was specifically designed, in her words, to awaken your inner animal.
Wow.
This revelation just fundamentally redefines the relationship between humans and shifters in this entire universe. Nala states it explicitly. We're all gifted with one by the Maker, but your peoples remain dormant.
That is enormous lore. Hannah isn't just a human consort. She's a dormant shifter.
A dormant shifter who has been systematically prepared by Nala for Stephan. Nala, the healer, she saw Hannah's potential 12 years ago during that first soul journey, and she has been slowly, scientifically activating her human potential ever since.
It makes Nala less of a spiritual elder and more of a subtle genetic engineer.
That's a great way to put it.
Oh.
She was banking on Hannah's ultimate sacrifice to finalize the transformation. So now Hannah and Stephan have to undertake a final, shared soul journey, but the stakes are astronomical because of the poison and Hannah's fragile state.
And the roles are reversed, aren't they?
Completely. Stephan is now tasked with the monumental role. He must take the brunt of the journey and restrain his own powerful inner wolf to allow Hannah's newly awakened weak animal to safely connect and grow.
So he has to show profound self-control. His passion and his power, which normally just run rampant, they have to be contained to protect the vulnerable, nascent animal inside of Hannah.
It's the ultimate test of the king controlling the man.
And their collaboration on the soul architecture this time, it's not just for healing, it's for defining their entire future.
Yes, they build their soul home together. Hannah ensures her future role as a healer by demanding a garden for my herbs and roots so that I may be like Nala and mend the broken.
And Stephan, in turn, he secures their lineage. He counters, I desire a hearth filled with the crafts of our young, and he rests his hand on her belly.
They also establish their governing marital principle, a solemn vow. I wish for no anger to separate us when we slumber, and may we never strike in fury.
That architecture, it reflects this conscious effort to overcome the potential volatility that's caused by their telepathy and their intense emotional connection.
It's them setting the rules for their own relationship inside their shared soul.
And the ultimate confirmation of her transformation comes through sound. Hannah feels a rustling under my skin, and her own low growl tumbled from my lips, which then merges with Stephan's responding growl.
She has physically and spiritually awakened to her full identity as a shifter. He's finally joined his species and stabilized her own inner potential.
And Stephan gives this definitive, tender explanation of their union. He confirms Hannah is his soul because she dragged me into my soul's home and breathed life into me with your kindness and pure heart.
Their souls are bound to one another. This will eventually enable her to sense me no matter the distance once her animal grows. This is the reward of that co-architected soul. They achieve a true, personalized, protected telepathic connection, unlike the pack's compulsory thought reading.
And the outcome is her total acceptance by the pack. Nala confirms that Hannah's willingness to die for Stephan proved her soul to be that of a queen. She's transformed from an unwelcome outcast into the king's mate, and she's secured the pack's enduring respect.
Her personal sacrifice overcame centuries of secrecy and distrust. It's a powerful moment.
It really is. But before we conclude, we should robustly cross-reference this mechanism with the broader shifter mechanics we see in the other sources to really fulfill the promise of a full world-building analysis.
Absolutely. We need to connect the dots.
Okay, so the wolf world features a human with a dormant animal, and it's activated by a tonic and a powerful emotional catalyst, which is sacrifice. How does this compare to the mechanics we see described in Serengeti Lightning?
So in Serengeti Lightning, we see a very different kind of shifter volatility. We have a lion shifter, Michael Miner, and he's suffering from a genetic malady. He's missing a neural inhibitor. And that causes these impulsive, uncontrolled shifts due to high emotions like jealousy. So for him, it's an internal biological failure that's driven by emotional volatility.
So in Rialto, in Wolf, the loss of control is triggered by external physical trauma, Stephan's injury.
Right.
But in Serengeti Lightning, the loss of control is triggered by internal emotional instability, Michael Miner's jealousy.
Exactly. This suggests that across different shifter species in this universe, control is contingent upon either physical integrity or emotional regulation. And a failure in either one of those areas leads to dangerous, uncontrolled shifting.
It creates a whole spectrum of vulnerability then.
It does. The wolf shifters of Rialto have robust internal controls, which makes them vulnerable only to severe external threats like that poisoned alloy. The lion shifters of Serengeti, on the other hand, have this genetic fragility that makes them vulnerable to common human emotions like jealousy and rage.
It's a fascinating look at the diverse biological architecture of shifters.
It is.
And we also see the pervasive power of an emotional catalyst in the Awakening Beauty excerpt. Princess Aurora is reawakened after a 1,000-year sleep, not by just any kiss, but by true love.
It has to be an intense emotional connection. That's the only force capable of overriding the stasis caused by an evil fairy's curse.
So that reinforces a kind of meta rule for this universe, doesn't it?
It does. Whether it's awakening a dormant animal, healing a wounded soul, or breaking a 1,000-year curse, these profound emotional acts, love, sacrifice, consuming passion, they're the most powerful and necessary triggers for any monumental biological or magical transformation.
And finally, we see the happily ever after is altered to serve a political purpose. Hannah explicitly states that the classic tale of Little Red Riding Hood is now deliberately changed by Stephan's people.
It's no longer just a cautionary tale about wolves.
No, it's a strategic piece of propaganda. It's designed to instill respect for the forest and incite fear in anyone who dare venture here.
And their new reality is one where the pack flourishes, it evolves, and it forms these necessary alliances with brethren shifters, the jaguars.
So the existential danger that was created by the human war and the threat of the toxic alloy, it actually forced an expanded multi-species shifter alliance just for them to survive.
It elevates their whole tale from a simple romance to a matter of geopolitical strategy.
We have covered centuries of history, biology, cultural protocol, and high-stakes romance in this analysis. The depth of the world building it's just really profound.
It really is.
The key takeaways for me are, first, the complex cultural imperative of telepathy, a total breach of privacy that somehow becomes a tool for pack security, and second, the profound scientifically explained existence of dormant human inner animals.
Which suggests human potential is far greater than anyone in that world assumed.
Exactly. And we also have to emphasize that geopolitical shift, the existential threat from the encroaching human enemy, equipped with that unprecedented toxic alloy. It forced a breaking of their ancient code of secrecy.
And that resulted in a powerful, multi-species alliance between the wolves of Rialto and their brethren shifters, the jaguars. Survival ultimately dictated cooperation and the acceptance of the outsider, Hannah.
My final thought focuses on the power of internal architecture. Hannah's initial simple act of childhood kindness Combined with her ability to structure and build a spiritual home in Stephan's soul journey, it literally changed his fate.
And it paved the way for her own physical and spiritual transformation into a queen.
She healed him, which in turn allowed her to fulfill her own destiny. It's a perfect loop.
And Stephan insists that the conventional trappings of fairy tales are not what feed the soul, but simply that we love. Given that the most powerful magic in this entire narrative was activating a dormant, powerful potential within a human being, potential Nala knew existed all along, it raises an important question for you, the listener.
What's that?
What inner powerful animal might be sleeping inside you, waiting for an emotional catalyst, the guiding voice, or perhaps just a shared soul journey to be awakened?